Hi guys, this is Klazart bringing an audio commentary, and this time I'm commentating on the Avalon MSL Round of 8 quarterfinal matchup played on the 23rd of July 09 between Zero and Kwanro. It looks like we've got Zero at the 3 o'clock position. This is Heartbreak Ridge, and Kwanro in red, Zero in yellow. Kwanro at the 9 o'clock position. Looking forward to this game of StarCraft, guys, even though it is Zerg versus Zerg. Probably not my favorite matchup, but the thing I like about Zerg versus Zerg, and the thing that I feel allows players like Jaedong and Effort to have such high dominating percentages. I mean, you very rarely see players with an above 70% dominating statistic, and even 70% is pretty amazing in StarCraft, simply because of build order wins and luck and scouting and you know, surprise builds and cheese and all the rest of it that happens, and you know, I guess just performance on the day, form. StarCraft is one of those sports where rarely even the most dominant players only win 70-80%, and Jaedong with his astonishing 80% win record in Zerg versus Zerg is just psychotic, the fact that he was actually able to get that. Both players obviously going to scout in the their overlords just about to cross each other in the middle. It'll be interesting to see if either player would have gone for perhaps a drone scout because of the large distance off Heartbreak Ridge. And I haven't seen a lot of Zerg versus Zerg on Heartbreak Ridge, so it'll be interesting to see how this plays out and what strategies the two players have prepared for this map. Looks like Kwanro anyway might be going for a 12 pool or 12 hatch build here. I think Zero is doing something similar. Yeah, it looks like he's doing something similar as well. So both players, obviously because of the large distances, you're able to do that, because even if your opponent goes 9 pool or over pool, it'll be difficult for them to get, by the time they get their links across, you should be in a decent position to defend yourself. So you might as well try and get the economic advantage. It makes sense. And it looks like a 12 pool for Zero, Kwanro as well. So both players going for a 12 pool here, both players starting there. So both players with virtually mirror builds. But yeah, the thing I like about Zerg versus Zerg is that it really is a very skill-based matchup. Even if you are slightly behind in build orders, you can still overcome and beat your opponent if you're a good enough player. That's why we see players like Jaedong able to have the kind of win percentages in Zerg versus Zerg that you don't see in any other matchup, really, for any player. Even in their prime, and that's the beauty of Zerg versus Zerg. Even though sometimes people can feel that it can be a little bit monotonous or a little bit samey. Both players now starting up their natural expos as well, and it'll be interesting to see when these two guys decide to diverge from the strategy. Again, if you haven't seen the previous matches in this match day of the MSL, they will be spoiled for you. I'm talking about Jaedong versus Kanata, I'm talking about Effort versus Calm, and I'm talking about Bisu versus Iris. And I've got to tell you guys, so far we've had 3 upsets out of 4 games. It's insane. The favored players are not winning. It looks like Kwanro starting up his lair already. Zero not. I guess he might be going for speedlings to start with, perhaps, and maybe try and put a little bit of pressure on Kwanro. Kwanro starting up the early lair. Zero, I guess, just waiting to perhaps get those zoning speed upgraded and saving up on the gas, then get the lair subsequently. So Kwanro should have his Mutalisk out a little bit earlier. But again, I don't think that's going to make a huge difference on a map like this, unless one player manages to amass a larger air force. Because even if you have your Mutalisk out that touch early, you're not really going to be able to put too much pressure on your opponent. Kwanro now, Zero now sending those lings out, just try and put pressure on Kwanro, because of course he's got the speed upgrade. Now finally teching to lair. Kwanro meanwhile with the 4 lings. Kwanro's produced a couple more lings. Kwanro's got 6 lings. The problem for Kwanro obviously is he doesn't have speed upgraded lings yet, because he went for that lair first. So this allows Zero to put a bit of pressure on Kwanro's natural expo. So Kwanro's natural expo coming under fire, but with only the 4 lings, I feel Kwanro with a shorter reinforcement move should be able to defend this. But Zero sending a couple more lings in now. Zero with 6 lings. Kwanro still with the 6. Zero still got 2 more lings on the way, as at least I think they are on the minimap. Perhaps it's just an overlord or something, but I think Zero has got reinforcements. No, he doesn't. It's probably just his overlord that's just getting over there. So he's only got the 4 lings there. Kwanro with the 6 lings should be in a decent enough position to defend. So Kwanro now finally comes out. I think he's got the speed upgrade now as well. So Kwanro snipes one of Zero's lings as it tries to get through. Kwanro produces a couple more lings. Kwanro now started up his Spire as well. So Kwanro survives that early strategy by Zero to try and put pressure on him. Zero did take that hatchery down to half health, but in Zerg versus Zerg, you don't really get a chance. It never really comes down to, I think, trying to kill your opponent's natural hatchery. Once you get to the kind of Muta-Zerg war stage, usually the battle is won or lost in the air. It's won or lost in Top Gun fashion. Either your heat-seeking missile takes out their tail, or you go plummeting to the ground, or your air force. And now Kwanro coming in with the Zerglings, with a lot of Zerglings here, trying to catch Zero up surprise, snipes a couple of Zerglings, and Zero a little bit outnumbered here. Zero got a couple more Zerglings popping out. It looks like he's just going to come out on top in this battle. So Kwanro putting the pressure pressure with only 2 links surviving. And Kwanro continuing to pump out those speed upgrade Zerglings from his 2 hatcheries, and he's putting a lot of Zerglings out, and he's continuing to try and keep the pressure on Zero. I'm surprised he's going for this option considering he did have the earlier Spire compared to Zero, but Kwanro is doing some damage to Zero. He's managed to take out some more links, but he hasn't critically killed any drones yet. Kwanro now with his 4 links in Zero's base. More Zerglings continue to pour for Kwanro. I guess Kwanro, this is Kwanro's aggression that we see typically, where he just decides to throw caution to the wind and just attack his opponent, and he doesn't really care if his opponent is barricaded behind Helm's Deep. Kwanro just decides to headbutt the wall sometimes, and sometimes he cracks his forehead, but sometimes he actually does manage to break the wall, and it'll be interesting to see which is going to be this time around. Now Kwanro with that Spire out, obviously he can't continue to Zerglings because he needs those larvae for his air, but of course he's not going to have enough gas to use up all of his larvae, so he will be able to suppress the Zerglings. Meanwhile, Zero doing an admirable job of holding Kwanro off, not really taking any damage to his economy. I don't think Kwanro has killed any drones there, and Zero's now got a decent group of excuse me, Zerglings out in the field as well. Kwanro now with the Mutalisk out, and you can see because he used up those larvae, his Mutalisks are coming out piecemeal. He's only got 2 Mutalisks out thus far. He continues to keep the pressure on Zero with his Zerglings, but Zero's defending well, so Zero with some good micro as well. And at this point, the game's still completely in the balance between these 2 players, and hard to give either player the advantage. Kwanro is going to pick that Overlord off, and that's going to mess up Zero's timing a little bit. He's going to be forced to spend a little bit more minerals on another Overlord. Because he has lost that one, but Zero meanwhile has got 3 links into Kwanro's natural expo, and he's immediately going to snipe that drone. So Zero snipes the drone from Kwanro. That's not going to be good for him. Meanwhile, Zero's got his Mutalisk popping out as well. So Zero with the early, I suppose, damage on Kwanro. Zero again with the links going to take another drone out, and Kwanro carelessly, he should have seen those links coming in and pull his drones together. Kwanro loses 2 drones, and that's going to put him in a little bit of trouble in terms of his economy. He's lost 2 drones, and it'll be interesting to see what the economic situation is between the 2 players now. It looks like Zero actually with the 3 links at his nine. Zero's got the gas at his national expo. I'm sure Kwanro has as well. Kwanro snipes another Overlord, and that's going to hamper Zero a little bit. Kwanro does not have that second gas, so Kwanro now in a little bit of trouble, I feel, because even though he's taken down 2 Overlords, he's lost a couple of drones. Zero once again coming with a raid. This time Kwanro does bunch up the drones momentarily, just the 3 links there, and Kwanro should be able to clean them out. But I think Kwanro might have a slightly superior Mutalisk force right now, but that's not going to last long because Zero does have the second extractor. He has taken the gas at his natural expo. That's something Kwanro has not done, and that could put Kwanro in a little bit of trouble here. Zero now got a decent force of Mutalisk as well as Scourges, and I think Kwanro, by that pressure that he did with Zerglings, forced Zero to overspend on his links, and that is why Zero has got less Mutalisk and less air than Kwanro. But Zero now with that extra gas starting to kick in because he's immediately produced 6 Scourges, and Kwanro could be potentially in trouble here if he cannot micro well in this Mutalisk battle. Again, the thing is, this build orders, economic advantages, all of that eventually cancels out. It comes down to this fight right here. Kwanro coming in with the Mutalisk, Zero with the Scourges trying to take Kwanro down. Kwanro doing a good job of avoiding the Scourges so far. So far, no Scourges land a hit on Zero. And meanwhile, Kwanro's got 4 links in Zero's main as well, pounding away at the drones. That's horrible for Zero. Zero brings in the Scourges, manages to land 1 Scourge. Kwanro's got Scourges of his own as well, but he's lost all of his drones in his, well, not all, but he's lost about 4 or 5 drones already in his main, just those 4 links. Brilliance by Kwanro, saving those links up and bringing them in at the perfect time, and distracting Zero, keeping his Mutalisk away, and Kwanro might just have won the game here. I said economic advantages don't necessarily decide the game. There are about 5 Mutalisks left for Kwanro, but an economic advantage of that size does decide the game. So any damage that Zero had done to Kwanro's economy to peg him back has been completely neutralized by those 4 links, and that is horrible for Zero to get so badly hurt by 4 links. And that was brilliant by Kwanro, really, and his aggression, I feel, paying off there. Now Zero trying to take down one of Kwanro's Overlords just outside of Kwanro's natural expo in the airspace there. I think he manages to pick off one of the Overlords, but Kwanro has now brought his Air Force back to fight. Zero seems like he might have a slightly superior Mutalisk force compared to Kwanro's, because Kwanro obviously using a couple of larvae to produce those links, and Zero obviously did have the Scourges, which Kwanro did not have in those fights because of the extra gas. So this is a really tight game here. Zero had the advantage of that extra gas. I think the Kwanro's obviously neutralized that now, and it's really close, but I think Zero has got a slightly superior Mutalisk force. Kwanro trying to fight with his Overlord. Now Scourges coming in. Zero with some brilliant micro takes the Scourges out. Kwanro not able to land his Scourges. Kwanro's got a couple more Scourges out. Meanwhile, Zero with links running in, and Kwanro trying to chase those links down. Zero snipes another Scourge, and now Kwanro might be in trouble here. Zero continuing to lose drones at his main to Kwanro's Zerglings, but even though Zero's got the superior Air Force here, the longer this game goes on, the more difficult the situation looks for Zero. Even though he's got the superior Air Force, Kwanro coming under the caution a little bit at the main, though he doesn't want to be fighting over his drones because they're going to die to the splash damage from those Mutalisks, losing a couple more drones in the process, but Zero's lost pretty much all the drones at his main. I'm not sure how many drones he's got at his natural expo. Zero not able to take out too many drones at Kwanro. Zero managed to take out 2 or 3 drones at Kwanro's main as well. Kwanro's now lost all of his Air Force. Kwanro has another Mutalisk popping out. Zero chasing it. Kwanro's going to run away. Kwanro looks like he's starting up an Evo Chamber, but his base is coming under fire. Meanwhile, he's trying to take down, and oh my god, open mouth of the Korean fan says it everything. He's just completely in shock, and this is how Zerg versus Zerg is meant to be played, guys. Zero continue to put the pressure with the Air Force. Now Kwanro finally has got some Scourges out to buy himself a little bit of time. Zero with Scourges of his own coming in. Meanwhile, Kwanro continues to pound away at Zero's main with his Zerglings. Kwanro trying to get a couple of Spore colonies up. While Kwanro trying to get a couple of Spore colonies up. Zero has to stop him from getting those up. Kwanro has got a couple of creeps up, but he hasn't been able to morph them with his Scourges. And I'm not sure what Zero is doing here. He's chasing those drones around. He needs to take those Spore colonies out before they come up. Kwanro moving those drones from his main to his natural. Meanwhile, Zero's lair coming under fire. Zero lost a lot of the buildings, and the two Spore colonies pop up, and that's got to be GG. That's got to be GG. You can see Zero exhale. How could he? He had the air superiority, he had the advantage, he had to just focus those Sunkens, and eventually his Mutalisk would have been able to win if he'd prevented those Sunkens from going up and taken those drones down. But Kwanro saved his drones, and Zero has now lost his main. His natural is coming under fire as well. That's probably going to be GG, even though he's got the Mutalisk. Kwanro is just going to be able to ramp up and produce some Mutalisk and produce his economy. So an absolute nail-biting game here, completely balanced on the tip of a knife, split by the thinnest of hairs between these two players. Very little difference, but it is going to be Kwanro, I feel, who takes the game, who is going to take the victory, and this is promising to be. I'm a huge fan of both of these players, probably a little bit more of a fan from Kwanro, but GG, Kwanro takes the game. Zero GGs, guys. Thanks for listening. This is